Thanks, everyone. Great to be here, Hong Kong. So today I'm going to talk about live events, eSports and gaming, and how that can be one of the pillars of mass adoption. My name's Shiv Madan. I've been operating Blockparty for about a year and a half. I previously owned some music festivals, and I saw tons of challenges in ticketing and live events, and decided to see if I could fix them. So how many of you seen the movie Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio? So I'm going to attempt the inception of an idea in your mind today that the third pillar of crypto adoption are experiences. We've already talked about payments a lot on crypto Twitter and everywhere else, assets, non-fungible tokens, but experiences are what connect people, you and I in this room today. But they're going through a monumental transformation, and this is the opportunity. We started with sports, music, art and events, meetings like we're in now. But what's happening is that everything's becoming digital. We've got Magic Leap, VR, AR, streaming, Twitch, Fortnite. We've got NBA 2K. So we've got these complex digital assets coming together, and they're difficult to track. Recently there was, I don't know how many of you have seen that, but Marshmello, a well-known DJ in the EDM space, was inside Fortnite having a live concert. It was attended by 10 million people, and it was competing at the same time as the Super Bowl. So it was a pretty significant size of people within a game watching a streamed live event. And so as these transactions become more digitized, there's so many different opportunities within the categorization of non-fungible assets. Tickets, which we're dealing with right now, and paywalls. So we provide paywalls for streaming. So if Ninja was streaming Fortnite on Twitch, he could have a paywall through our platform, and discovery could happen through our platform. Or you want to go to Coachella, you can buy a ticket through us, a crypto ticket, all on the blockchain. In-game assets, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about mostly throughout the course of this presentation. Fan and member rewards. We're talking with NBA teams, NFL teams about how we can integrate fan tokens into their programs so that they can drive user engagement. Digital collectibles, same thing. Everyone's interested in how we can take from CryptoKitties, how we can transport that kind of rabid fan base or that growth trajectory into live events. And online betting. Obviously, it's a direct correlation between the particular asset and the live event itself. So blockchain, just talking about it briefly, why does blockchain make sense here? Well, NFTs are a secure representation of complex digital assets. You could have multivariate assets within one instrument that can be tracked over time on the blockchain with a chain of custody. So you can ensure that the asset is owned and that the asset's been transferred and still owned. But to be honest with you, no one cares. No one in the industry, I go to live events, I talk to real people in the real world about music and ticketing, and they're happy that we've got it, but they frankly don't care. And if it's too slow, it's actually going to have a negative impact. So let's talk about crypto. Why is crypto made for experiences? I read a book recently called Driven by Paul Lawrence and Nitin Noria. And the theory was that in order to drive human behavior, you need four things. The intention to acquire, to bond with communities, to learn something new, and to have defense over something or protection of what you're doing. Why does this matter in crypto? Why is our audience so passionate? I ask myself when I'm on crypto Twitter with people having 20, 30,000 fans, and they're just there's just an enormous energy around what we're doing, it's because we have all of these things. We have the acquisition of money. We have the bonding of communities around these coins. We're learning constantly about things that we don't know about. You know, cryptography, we're learning about economics, we're learning about finance. And we're defending against each other, against fiat, against centralization. Games, same thing. You acquire points, you're in teams, or you're supporting artists or performers, you're learning new skills, and you're defending against other players. So where the gamification and the crypto joins is in the monetization of those rewards. So you have the first acquisition, and that's what I'm talking about here. And the second part where they join is in the bonding of people. And you have experiences and you have tribes that come from that. You know, so if you're a fan of the Jets, you're an ardent supporter of the Jets. That's your thing. In the same way that you have support for a ninja or some other performer on Fortnite. And that happens, when you see it, when you're looking in Fortnite or some other, platform. So, for example, this is Twitch. You've got these communities that are supporting this artist, this performer, in there playing the game, constantly in the chat. You've got that at music festivals. What we've been doing is hosting music festivals entirely on the blockchain. And you see this energy with people surrounding these musicians and how they bond together over this music. So let's take it to the next step. How can experiences drive crypto adoption? And this is where I get to the generations. So the crypto generation, I'm going to try to convince you today that it starts from, it's really where we should be focusing our attention is on Generation Z. Late 90s to the early 10s, as early as 5, but let's not get them to pay yet. But as early as 5 all the way up to 20, that audience is the audience that's going to drive adoption. We're already here. Everyone in crypto is mostly in this category. There are some here. Hey. And the difference here is, sorry, I forgot this last part at the bottom. What is Generation Z doing? They can't go out. They're sitting at home. Their parents won't let them out. And they've got no money. So what do? They get on Twitch and they watch someone playing a game, or they play the game themselves. So, I mean, that's just a natural trajectory of life, right? When you get older, you want to go out. You want to meet, girls or guys. You want to have fun. You want to experience the things that you can with your ID card and your money that you've been earning. So you go to live events. Games become a little less important. You start betting on stuff if you're of that nature, and you still like to earn rewards. You like to spend those rewards that you've earned. And by this point, you're at home, you've got kids, the likelihood of you going out is pretty negligible. And you still do certain things, but you don't do them as much. Gaming becomes a lot, there's still an ardent gaming community, older gaming community, but they're not doing it as much. They don't have as many hours in the day. And so why do we focus on crypto Generation Z, as I'm going to call it today? Because they're already playing games, and because, as I mentioned before, the acquisition of real assets is already happening in crypto. You're earning the rewards, in games, you're earning those rewards, and now let's find a way to monetize those rewards. The second part of that is that right now, and what I mean by monetization is that you actually you have the ability to exchange the assets. So if you're playing one type of game and then you can't spend that money in another type of game, then you've got this challenge. So enabling it through cryptocurrency allows you to have the potential for exchangeability of monetization. We've got a 15-year runway with this audience before they get to the stage where they're at home watching the kids. They're going to start spending. They're going to start spending those rewards that they earned when they were playing games at live events. And so they move, and we carry that audience through. So I think they're going to become crypto natives by that. If we can quickly get those rewards monetizable, we can have them spending crypto before they spend fiat, because they're not earning fiat. They're earning, maybe they're earning a pocket money, or they're earning money in some other ways, but they're actually earning crypto before they're earning fiat. And that's how we capture that audience quickly. So how does adoption happen? And this is a theory I've been working on for a while. There's 4 stages of adoption. You start with a core awareness. You let people know about what's happening in your marketplace. You move towards adoption. And that's a decentralized approach. You have to share. So Satoshi was sharing what was happening with Bitcoin for 2 years before he was able to step away. It's creating that awareness and then moving towards adoption. Really bottom-up, decentralized approach. The other way to do it is top-down, where you have an Activision saying, okay guys, we're gonna implement this on a global scale. And no one really understands it, but they do it. It's like the euro being adopted in 1997. The ECB just pressed a button, and then everyone had to adopt it. It's by force, but it can be beneficial, because it really encourages mass adoption very quickly. It's very centralized, but in the case of games, I think, are we initially focused on decentralization, or are we initially focused on adoption? I think we're focused on adoption. And so we move down here, where we have these rewards, and then they get that mass appeal over time. So who are we keeping an eye on? Activision, as I mentioned, has been accepting crypto payments. Block One, spending a lot of money on acquiring or developing game companies. Wax, obviously, large volumes of transactions with the skins as they've moved on the blockchain. Many different companies. I think Mythical is an EOS sort of investment. Robot Cash is developing a new platform for game integration. And then we're also looking at eSports as well. So we've been talking to partners like Live Nation about how they can integrate blockchain and cryptocurrency payments at their live events. League of Legends accepting crypto payments. NBA 2K is looking at fan tokens and really engaging and integrating that process of their own assets into an exchangeable set of assets that don't necessarily have to sit between one team or the other, or within NBA. Decentralized is an opportunity, because I think that the NFT assets themselves could be paywalled, and we could actually access paywallization, as I just came up with a name, paywallization of actual VR and AR assets onto the blockchain and make them payable. FCFL is a pretty exciting new project that's dealing with a fan-controlled football league, and ourselves, we're focused on actually becoming that paywall. There's lots of other companies doing it. I think the gamification is where it becomes interesting. Even in trading, we're talking to friends of ours like Hero, who are coming up with really gamified approach to trading that makes it really energizing and interesting for adoption. So what we do, as I mentioned, we provide that paywall. We have digital identity to ensure that the asset becomes transactable across the blockchain. So you log in with encrypted biometrics. You can actually pull your biometrics off the asset, and then someone else can attach it to the asset, so that we have a chain of custody. No matter how many times the asset's been transferred, we know who owns it. And so the last person to get in the gate is the real person. So we solve that secondary market problem. But it also helps with live streaming. If you want to buy a stream, but then you don't necessarily want to see the stream, you can actually go into this secondary marketplace using your encrypted biometrics and actually transfer that to someone else, maybe at a premium. Maybe there's a limited cap on the number of people that can actually stream this event, and then people can create a secondary market for that. And so we use NFTs as our tickets, but we have a fungible token that connects in the sidechain to make high-speed transactions. We're currently at 400 transactions a second, but we're working on improving that. And then we have pay and earn features as well. So that's a little bit about Blockparty, but really what I wanted to share with you today was that this generation, crypto generation Z, is really going to be the one that we need to focus on. I'm really happy that there's a lot of money being spent on games. I'm really happy that we're receiving interest for what we're doing with live events and streaming. And I encourage you guys to ask any questions if you have any about what's happening in the space, maybe here or afterwards, and exploring some of the gaming opportunities in the NFT land and seeing how you can participate. So, thank you very much.